Welcome everybody to our Character Cafe Coffee Chat. Welcome to the Southeast Region Character Consortium sponsoring our Character Coffee Chat this morning with Arthur Schwartz. And we'd like to thank our sponsors, Samford University, Hope Institute, and character.org. Okay, yes, and do we have some special guests?
Yes, we have a couple special guests that are joining us this morning. We're just thrilled to have a couple of people that are very special that support us in our work all the time. And one is Anna McEwen, the Dean of the School of Education at Samford, such a proponent for character education, and Anne-Marie Prost, that is joining us from the Kern Family Foundation. She is just constantly in support of all our activities and attended in the fall and is attending again today. And Lori Seufer from character.org has just really made all of this possible and just made a way for these three states to get together to further character education. And so thank you to our special guests for all your support that you give us.
And before we begin, we'd like to introduce our special speaker. His name is Dr. Arthur Schwartz, and he will be presenting the K-12 model standards of character and social emotional development, otherwise known as CSED. And while he is talking, we'd encourage all of you attending to please use the chat. And we'll be checking the chat for your questions, and we'll have some time at the end to address all of your questions. So please feel free to chat, and we welcome you from all over, especially we are Florida, Alabama, and Georgia, but we have folks here from all over the US. So thank you so much for joining us and spending time with us. And I think we're ready. Are you ready, Arthur?
I am. Thank you. Thank you so much, Val, for introducing me. And I am so excited to be here. Please, folks, I have my coffee right here. It matches my tie. So please, throughout, caffeine up, because this is what the hallmark of what we're trying to do right now is to learn together. I want to begin by, again, thanking Kara, Pam, and Val, and Stephanie, and everybody from the three states who have put together not just this, but they've done so much more to really sort of ignite and spark character development, character education throughout the southeastern region of our country. So thank you guys for all that you're doing. I have been serving as the president of character.org for the past year. If you'd like to learn more about me, you can go to the character.org website. There's a brief bio there, but what's not on the bio is that I was a 9th grade English teacher at the School District of Philadelphia. I'm also a proud graduate of the School District of Philadelphia. Both my parents taught in the School District of Philadelphia. My mom was also a principal before she passed away. I then had the opportunity to serve as director of the dropout prevention programs for the School District of Philadelphia. And this is really important to me because I want to start off by saying how important social emotional learning is. I'm a proponent of SEL. I am a parent, and I know that my children, my own adult children now, when they were growing up, had to learn those SEL skills. Those 5 competencies are incredibly important. And what I'm hoping today to do is to braid together those 5 competencies with character. Because at the end of the day, skills are just skills. We have to really think about toward what aim? That aim is character. That aim are the core values, the virtues, the character strengths that make up our moral compass. Without those core values, those skills are not as robust as they should be. So that's why it's so important to braid together those two. So Kara, right now we're going to try it. I'm going to see if we can go to the next slide. There we go. I would like to begin by sharing with you explaining to you why we use the word standards. I know that's a big word. As a former teacher, as a former educator, most of the time we have state standards. What we're trying to do with this word is to understand what we are expecting across the K-12 context in terms of behaviors as well as knowledge related to both the 4 areas of character, which I'm going to be talking about briefly: moral, performance, intellectual, and civic character, as well as the 5 competencies of SEL. So think of the word standard as just indicators, a way for us as educators, as school leaders, to understand what a child knows and what she or he is able to do to apply that knowledge. Oh, let's see. So guiding this are 6 core beliefs. I think you're going to have to do that. Yep. We believe that the child's first character educator is the family. And moving on, you can go to all 6 right now if I'm not able to. And again, everybody knows that these are not add-ons. The idea of character strengths and these skills are significant to the success of the academic success of students. Number 3, it starts with school climate. Number 4, sorry, oh, there we go. And everybody who knows about character education realizes it's not just about knowing that honesty is important or knowing that social awareness is important. It's feeling, desiring that that's the kind of person I want to be, and also the doing, head, heart, and hands. And number 5, I wish I could spend more time on this. And if you ever want me to come back to just look at this 5th core belief, it should be something that is not just taught and caught, but also sought. We have to, especially during the tween and teen years, have to encourage our children, our teens, to seek the strength of character, as opposed to just teaching it or modeling it. It's so important for them to have that agency, to have that sense of, what do I have to work on? Is it patience? Is it carefulness? What ways can I strengthen my own character? And number 6, again, we align these standards with a full range of classroom and school-based initiatives. So let's just start. Again, I'm going to go through this real quick. It starts with the developing teen. Everyone is on their own pace. You need that school climate. You need that family home climate. And that then provides opportunities for young people to learn and practice those strengths and those skills, to become a thriving and striving. There's the seek word again, a thriving and seeking. So I'm always seeking to improve my character, just the way I should be seeking to improve my 3-point shot, or I should be seeking to improve my volleyball skills or my dance skills. These are what is so missing in terms of character, this idea of giving ownership to the young person as she or he strives to become their best possible self. And moving on, here are the 4 dimensions, the 4 areas of character development. The Templeton Foundation just came out with a new RFP, and they focus on these 4. And by the way, Anne Marie, if you're still with us at Kern, please tell my dear friend Kristowski hello. But these are the 4 areas of character that I'm going to be talking about related to the model standards. And we'll talk about why each of these are discrete. They interlock, of course, but how they are discrete. So start with moral character: honesty, integrity, caring and compassion, Gratitude, a virtue, a character strength that 20 years ago I did not have. When I talk about striving to be a better person, I always start with gratitude, because this was something that I wanted to become part of me, part of my character toolbox. It wasn't there. And I feel that I have strengthened that, if you will, that muscle. And then last is the courage to take initiative. My own research is on courage. And so if anybody has any questions about courage, I look at courage in adolescence, particularly around moral character, as opposed to personal courage or physical courage. I'm looking at the courage to be honest, to show integrity, and to be caring and compassionate. Let me move on to the first set of, So here's the first set of standards for ages 5 to 7, K2 young people. We want these kiddos to understand what being honest means and why it's a character strength. So here it's not about the doing. I'm going to come to that in a moment, the application or the demonstration. It's simply, is there a way for a classroom teacher or for a school-wide program to assess that by the age of 7, every one of our young people have these different knowledge skills, if you will, knowing and understanding. Look at number 4, why keeping a promise is a character strength. Can a 6-year-old explain to us in her own words why keeping a promise is an important thing to do? And moving on to grades 3-5. So they're different. All of a sudden, here I introduce the term integrity. The young person by age 10 should understand and be able to explain the expression, I have the courage to stand up for what is wrong or unfair. How would you explain, how would a 10-year-old explain that? Moving on to grades 6 through 8, middle school. I love the first one, understanding why white lies lead to bigger lies. Can most of our 12-year-olds explain that? And then it gets really hard. Like, look at number 6. List and explain the reasons why people sometimes do not care or help others. How would a school, how would a class be able to integrate these indicators, these standards into their classroom and school building? And finally, high school. The feedback that I've gotten about these standards is that they're not general. They're very specific. They're really focused on real behaviors in real time with real students. And the feedback that I've gotten about that has meant so much to me, because as a former teacher, I really wanted them to be specific and not just global in nature, as so many standards are. So thank you for I know there's some folks in the chat are saying that, and I just, I'll just look at number 3, right? Can a high school student present research on the concept of moral courage, taking action for ethical reasons? So again, this is knowledge-based understanding. And now we're going to move on to application to demonstrate these character strengths of honesty and integrity, caring and compassion, gratitude, and courage. And I have to go real fast here because I want so much time here for question and answer. So here's grades 3 to 5. Six to 8. Number 4, provide an example when you helped others who needed your support and care. Writing that down, speaking about it, videotaping it, recording it, different ways that we can assess, different ways that we can help young people demonstrate that they have demonstrated the courage of an active upstander. Shouldn't be bystander, upstander. and grades 9 through 12. My favorite that I've done in my own classroom at the college level is number 4. I encourage all of us to write a letter to someone who would not be expecting it, that expresses your gratitude. And again, it should not be mom or dad or sister or brother, somebody who you would not be expecting to hear from you how they have helped motivate you, inspire you, how they have made a difference in your life. That's one way of demonstrating the power of gratitude. Moving on to performance character. At this point, I'm not going to go through all the grade levels. I'm just going to start with middle school so you can see how performance character plays out in terms of these indicators. And then we'll move on to and that's intellectual character. I'm sorry, I thought I'd get each 3. This is really important for me personally because the second one, my older son, now 33, was very curious, but growing up, he was not very careful. He was always saying, oops, sorry, I forgot to do this or that related to not just academic work, but at home work, if you will. He just wasn't careful. And he's much more careful now because he's focused on this particular character strength. Intellectual autonomy is that they can do their own work. Intellectual humility means that they know what they don't know. That they don't know everything, which again adds to open-mindedness and critical thinking. And civic character. You might have earlier when we were talking about moral character, wait a minute, where's respect? Where's fairness? It's here. I've placed it here for a number of reasons that I'd love to talk more about, but clearly we cannot imagine graduating a high school student who doesn't have a deep understanding of fairness and respect as part of their civic character. Now I'm going to be talking about just knowing and understanding these strengths of fairness and respect. So I just focused on civic. I just think every middle school student by now at middle school should understand what the common good means and be able to explain common good. It's used all the time. What does it mean to her? How could she describe it? Here's a way for her to apply and demonstrate fairness and respect. At this point, I want to go to number 5. Because at the core for me of these model standards is a way for schools to develop a portfolio of student voice around all of the 4 areas of character and the 5 skills of SEL. How could we create a portfolio, a physical portfolio, of a digital portfolio? This is what I'm beginning to work on with a number of educators who are from schools of character at different grade levels, to really imagine a portfolio that the student displays, that she shares with others, says in ways for her to demonstrate her character strengths and her SEL skills. So I will be coming back to this idea of this portfolio, not just the volunteer activities, but the range of indicators that are throughout the model standards. And now we're on to the social emotional learning 5 competencies. These are taken from, of course, from CASEL, but what's different is I've tried to create indicators that again are real, that are based in not just school culture, but in family culture and in peer culture as well. There's self-awareness. And these are just, again, a way for the young person in middle school to recognize, understand, and express her own thoughts, emotions, mindsets, including how emotions affects her thoughts. For me, I'm very interested in self-talk. So if you look at number 4, describe the techniques you use to challenge or refute your negative thoughts and feelings. We all have those negative thoughts, those negative words that come into our, what do we do to refute them? What is our positive self-talk strengths? This is self-management, focus toward a growth mindset, social awareness, and I've spent a lot of time on not just interpersonal relationship skills because of my own interest in peer pressure, but also in responsible and ethical decision making. When I first was teaching SEL, we only had 4 competencies. This last one is relatively new to the toolbox, if you will, but it truly is important for us to recognize that this is where the intersection is between character and SEL, is this decision-making process that is both responsible and ethical. I'll come back to it. So these now are some of the indicators around ethical decision making. I love that we're asking our 6-year-olds, describe a rule or principle that everyone should strive to live by, and ask them what do they think? It should be one rule, one principle that is important to them, that it should be important to everyone else. I also love number 3. What's one social norm at school? And what's the reason for the norm? And you don't give a menu, you just ask them so they understand what a social norm is. Again, around the 5th competency of SEL, I just have this for each of those other 4 skill areas as well of SEL. I just didn't want to overload you with too many slides. Middle school. Write about number 3 and share a principle you want to live by that you learned from a family member, from personal experience. Number 4, describe a time when you made a poor decision and what you learned. So here's this idea of striving, of seeking to not make that same mistake twice. This is what's so important for us, is to give that young person agency. I'm almost done. I want to sort of share with you that this page right here is what the work I'm doing with a high school in Pennsylvania, School of Character, National School of Character. So students are creating their portfolio on each of these 7 areas. So I'll be able to see artifacts, get artifacts on what this looks like in the life of a junior or senior. They're all juniors or seniors. I'd like to end by just sharing with you a few ways of how to really look at this crosswalk between SEL and character. One is to begin with the end in mind. I said that already. We want to be able to look at that high school student before she graduates and not just know that she has math skills, reading skills, writing skills, but that she has not just SEL skills, but strengths of character as well. How do we go about knowing that's what we're striving for, that she's a good person as well as a smart person? I think these standards really look at how to be intentional and how to be comprehensive. They focus on doing, not just feeling and thinking, but the behaviors of character that are so important. And I come back to this again. I really think we need to, in the next couple of years, think about students setting goals to say, you know what, here's what I have to do to learn to be more curious, to be more patient, to be more caring, and empowering students to set their own goals and have that be part of their portfolio. Oh, there we go. So that was it. I want to say thank you for everyone. Kara, at this point, if you could go back to the heart slide, I'd love to see what questions have come up on the chat room, and let's begin our conversation.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing. It's really some practical ideas that we could just take and put into the classroom right now, which is so awesome to have a document that is just so user-friendly yet really specific. So thank you so much for really putting a lot of time and thought into that and something that schools can use. We want to open the floor to you now to ask any questions. You can type them into the chat and we'll try to moderate it. We might start with one question just kind of verbally to get the ball rolling, but any questions that you have or just thoughts that you would like to ask Dr. Schwartz, this is an opportunity for you to do that. And again, we're just so thankful. I don't think it's often that someone who's actually has written and done this takes the time out of their day to share with a group of educators. And so we really do appreciate you doing that. So I am going to do the best I can to get the ones you have in the chat, and Val and Pam will help me. So if there's any questions, and hopefully I will not miss them.
I'd like to bring up one question, and that was brought up by Julia Sarmiento from Florida. And I think, Arthur, you may have mentioned the answer to this, but how do you address the concern that morals and values are a parental responsibility and not school, which is why skill is preferred? Would love to discuss this piece. So, so the question, I guess, is you addressed the parent as the parental responsibility and not school. Could you address that, Arthur?
Yeah, no, I can. I look at it from a number of different levels. We know just from sort of just the idea of what employers are looking for, that more and more they have this mantra, hire for character, train for skills. And that schools have to go way beyond just skill development, that there's a character of knowing why it's a responsibility of showing up on time. These are skills that are developed in the home initially, but we're talking about 12 years of a child's growth. There needs to be this collaboration between home and school and beyond school. I mean, there are too many sports programs, too many dance programs that are just emphasizing just skills and not sportsmanship, or not the beauty of dance as opposed to just the precision of dance. And so to me, character is something that begins in the home, but needs to be sort of fostered in all those places that are supporting the child's development. I understand, though, Julia, you're concerned about the language when we start talking about values. But that's why it's important for a school and or a community to come together and say, these are a set of core values that bring us together. These are ones that all of us, parents, family, community, as well as school leaders and students can say, this is what it means to lead a good life, a flourishing life, to be honest, to be responsible, to be careful, to be kind. These are different core values. So I think when a school or a community can decide on its own values, then I think it sort of, Julia, it's sort of, it's a way to respond to this notion of no, values are just parents' responsibility. It's not, it's all of us, especially schools.
Mark Christopher had a question. He said he would love a synopsis of the portfolio project mentioned. For example, what class, timeline, etc. Yeah,
I'm just beginning right now, so I don't have that, Mark. I actually didn't say where you can even find these model standards. They're on the character.org homepage. If you scroll down on our homepage, you'll see on the bottom left where you can click and download these standards. But we are just now beginning to work with one high school class, one teacher, again, from a National School of Character, who is just trying to work with his students to get us some artifacts. So we hear the voice, we hear the words of how students are making sense of these different indicators. But at this point, we're just in kind of beta mode. Great question, though. Oh, Mark, if you want to reach out to me, I'd love to work with you. If you'd like to, begin to work in your own classroom on this, that would be outstanding. Thank you.
You got a big thumbs up on that one. So I think you'll be hearing from Mark.
Thank you.
And along with those lines, Lisa Campbell has a question. Can you share success stories from schools or districts that have been able to generate broad and consistent support for teaching SEL, character, EF, resources, funding, curriculum? So any success stories from schools that have been able to generate broad and consistent support for teaching these?
Well, every year, Lisa, we recognize at character.org schools and school districts who are exemplary, who become national schools of character. So we're proud of our 94 who received that designation in 2020, and the 2021 schools we will be announcing on May 11th. So if you really wanted to know, these are the schools that across all 11 principals have taken a deep dive into making sure that those core values that I talked about earlier are fused, are integrated into all aspects of the school building, but beyond the school building, home life as well.
Great. This next question is from Jody Newton. How do you see these standards being used by states, districts, schools, and individual classrooms? If we want to see this in schools, how and where do we best start?
Val, before I answer Jody's question, Val, you told me we weren't going to get any hard questions. What's going on?
I'm applauding this question. Thank you, Jody.
Jody, thank you. I wish I had a overarching strategy, Jody, to take what I know in terms of the feedback that I've gotten from teachers, from educators, from even folks at the state and federal level saying these model standards we have to figure a way of how to introduce them to different audiences, everyone from a school building to a district, to a state, to the federal level. But we are still developing that strategy, Jody. We don't have one right now. These standards are kind of hot off the press, and we need to do more work. I know one thing, Jody, it's not one of those, if you build it, they will come. We have to be much more intentional about why these standards are important, how they braid together the SEL competencies with these areas of character, and why and how we go about introducing them to school leaders, to district leaders, to state leaders, as well as to federal folks as well. Thank you for your questions, Jody. Again, if you have some ideas, I'd love to hear from you, because we're developing that strategy as we speak.
Great. The next question is from Doug Knott. Any thoughts on creating lesson plans to support the rollout?
Good job, Doug Knott.
Yeah. Hi, Doug. We've talked before. That's a great question. I would like to just empower the educator, empower the classroom teacher, empower folks at every building to take these standards and make their own lessons. So it is not just off the shelf. Those indicators will tell us how we get there. And sometimes when you see the word explain or document, or that is the lesson. When you do it, how you do it, that's what we haven't worked out yet. But this idea of a portfolio, the idea that the child, when she is graduating from 5th grade, can present to a group of people, not on a pass-fail, but just as a way of documenting that she has worked on her character over the last 5 years, and that when she graduates from 8th grade, different portfolio. And when she graduates from 12th, I have this imagination that this portfolio, these 3 portfolios, would follow her the rest of her life, that it would be a keepsake for her, so she would continue to strive to be her best self.
Great. This next question is from Anna McEwen, and it kind of piggybacks on that previous question. Do you envision that the digital portfolio might eventually become a summative assessment?
Become a what?
Summative assessment.
I am very dear friends with Angela Duckworth. I also have had the honor of um, being involved in the KIP program in Houston many, many years ago. And I was honored to be the person who introduced KIP to Angela's work on grit. For those of you who may not know, Angela's work became very contested in the state of California, that there was this character report card. She never meant it to be that. It's just something that the state began to do. So this idea of assessing whether or not you have the math skills to move on to the next grade, I don't think we should do with character. I think we should put that onus on the young person that this is something she wants to develop. She wants to grow in this way. So it's a self-assessment more than it is a school or classroom assessment.
Okay, those are the questions that I see here. Did I miss anyone, or does anyone have a question?
Yeah, I think I should have gone on longer, Val. I don't know, maybe. Tara, let me just add this. For those of you who have gone to master's level or doctoral level work, this idea of the portfolio to me is it's the notion of presenting the portfolio to a group of people. They could be a parent volunteer. It could be somebody in the school building you do know or don't know well. It could, it really would matter, but it's the idea of it could be a fellow student that you invite. And it's those 3 or 4 people who ask questions of the student, of the 5th grader, of the 8th grader, of the 12th grader. So it's a conversation that is part of the assessment. It's not just you show and tell and leave, but there is that. Now, how do you do that with all the 5th grade graduating class? I mean, that is the challenge, but I just think there would be something that would really crystallize in the young person's mind that this is not a test, but it's a self-test. And if that can be the way idea, it I think could really reap many benefits for us who care about character development.
Great. We have a question from Janet Greer. Could one possible strategy to use for incorporating the SEL standards into local schools include integrating the SEL model standards into a school's improvement plan?
Yes. Oh, must be done. Has to be. I can't imagine working in a school where SEL is not important. I have the great joy of living across from a park, and there are soccer teams and baseball teams, softball teams all the time there. And every once in a while, I see this 9-year-old just go out on a rage. She's just not controlling her emotions. And so these SEL skills are so vitally important to every school, to every family, to every sports team. So I'm a big cheerleader for integrating SEL into every school improvement plan. It's just not, to me, it's just the stepping stone to what we're really aiming for, which is to work to help our young people become people of character. And so I own that word, character. I believe it's important, and I know it's used all the time. So I know other people see the word as important. It starts with those SEL skills, but they're just a stepping stone to our moral compass, to what we really care about, what we're aiming for in terms of the people we want to become.
I wanted to note, Arthur, that Brian Kane mentioned all ballpark parents need to pass a test on these standards.
All right, I agree with that. I totally see if you're going to do any kind of assessment, then it should be parents in sporting events. Totally agree with that. Folks, we have at character.org began a relationship with Positive Coaching Alliance, and that is their mission as well, because it starts not just with parents, but with coaches as well, with the culture that they develop on their team. But you're right, parents, this idea of winning at all costs, it's not conducive. And so I agree with you. Thank you for raising that point. It's so important. I mean, I'll just say, since we're on the parent, I want, and Lori knows this, my colleague Lori knows this, I want to develop a survey of parents and what they think about character and what are some of the core values that they identify as important as parents, and what are some of the struggles they have in modeling those core values, in fostering those core values. And, you know, I'd love to know that, you know, 81% of parents think their schools are doing a great job in fostering core values. And I'll bet you when it comes to the sports teams, maybe it's only 38%, you know, think sportsmanship and character development is important to their teams, to the coaches. But I would love to just hear the voice of parents in this as well, because I think it will help us, because I do think parents care more about, as much about character as they do about grades. I know long-term that is in my heart what I feel. So if we could measure that, if we could get some data on that, I think it would really help us, help schools sort of reinforce what parents are already saying.
Yes, Deborah Krebs put a comment about that their school used the student-led conferences to share kind of the portfolio type idea at their school. So that was one suggestion she gave for sharing.
Deborah, thank you. I just think student voice, it's my own area in terms of the courage, the voice of students to stand up and speak out. So it's just my own area of research. And I just think this notion of student voice, we have not heard the last of it. And I don't think it's just a flame that's going to, you know, burn out. I think we're going to be figuring out different ways, as your school has, to really platform the importance of student voice and agency.
And Doug Knott was commenting on the survey. Perhaps part of the survey should be an extract of what parents think character is.
Ooh, thank you, Doug. That's a great question. I like that. It's difficult to define character. I think that's one of the challenges. My definition is just goodness in action. Goodness in action. And I think goodness is everything from carefulness, you know, that my son wasn't displaying, to honesty, to caring, respect, and fairness. Those are all examples of goodness in action. Other questions?
How can we take this to the state level? Florida has SEL standards for preschool only, for children ages 3 to 5. But, you know, I want to shake the trees and say, let's keep this momentum going and build capacity in our states. What can we do at the state level?
Well, how about a hunger strike? No. I think it's about relationships, Val. I really do. I think you have to start with relationships. You have to start with people at the state level who understand the why character is important. I think the folks at Castle and SEL have done that. They've been really good at that. And I think we just need to mirror that. We need to develop relationships with key stakeholders at the state level. I think when you get superintendents involved, I think that's critical, because they can be that voice. When you get principals involved, teachers involved, they can be that voice. But I think it really starts with building relationships and knowing that these standards are something that every child should have, should be exposed to, should be challenged to apply. So that to me is finding those allies, finding those relationships where, you know, you can build a network of people who are joining us in this notion of why doesn't Florida have this as a set of standards for the state.
Hey, Arthur, could I ask you one little question?
Mm-hmm. Hi, Pam.
Today, I have a great group, a contingent of some higher education folks out there. And I'm really excited to see that here in Georgia with thinking about teacher prep. Can you add a little bit from your big knowledge of character and how the importance is in the teacher prep program and how maybe we could try to motivate that and encourage that?
Yeah, there is recent research that new teachers, first-year teachers, survey research that showed that classroom management is their #1 challenge, and that they are not able to really create a climate in their classroom that they want. And that has to do with discipline, that has to do with positive reinforcement, a lot of things that get beyond curriculum. And I know that there are folks in higher education right now focusing on character that is really, addressing this. But this is something that most schools of education do not. And that's why we need to reintroduce, and I know that the Kern Family Foundation is trying to lead the charge there to reintroduce character in our teacher education programs, because new teachers are seeing that this is what they're missing. And that is a new survey that just came out in Education Week a couple of months ago. And it's very clear that this is what new teachers are asking for.
There is a comment from Stanford University from the Department of Human Development and Family Science. They require all majors to conduct original research projects. If you can identify a school that would be willing to let us survey parents, we would be happy to collect data and analyze it.
Wow, thank you.
That's from Christy Chandler at Stanford.
Hi, Christy. Arthur@character.org. Please email me, and I would love to follow up with you. This is exactly what we need. We need to be evidence-based. We need this kind of research foundation, and I would love to collaborate with the school or close to your university to develop this research program. That sounds exciting. Thank you so much. Other questions? Oh, I see Bill Trusham on the line, so I didn't know. Hi, Bill. I hope you are healthy and doing well. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hello, Arthur. It's nice to see you, and I appreciate your explanation of the standards, which I think are a very significant step forward in making the connection between SEL and character. That's something that's long been missing. So thanks for all the work you're doing on this.
Thanks, Bill. And I'm also going to take the advantage right now, Val. I do not know who Tarsha is. So hi, Tarsha. Hi, do you have a question or a comment? Is there anything you'd like to add?
No, I've enjoyed it. I am a professor at Stanford University, so I know some of the other folks on the line, and I work closely with Kara. We love Kara. Our dean is on the line, and Christy, I work with some of these people. So, and Jody, can't forget about Jody.
What do you do at the university? What's your specialty?
Associate professor of reading in our teacher education department. Yes. And I've enjoyed it. I'm sorry.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Sure.
In terms of reading, do you feel that that your student teachers are really integrating reading into character development? Is that something that you feel is strong and vital part of the curriculum?
Sure. We talked last week, had a meeting actually with Dr. Chisholm, and we talked about literature and how a lot of teachers are using literature that focuses on character development, especially for your younger ages, because we know that when you use literature, it's a way that in that type of presentation, the kids are able to understand it. So they're doing a lot of things with books. Our students are doing that. And then they also have excellent examples from teachers in the field that model how you can use literature to show character, good character, talk about morals, and so forth. Even folk tales, you can do that with folk tales. So, several things that they're doing, and we're pleased.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Welcome. Other questions, Cara?
Kim Hauser said that morning meetings have helped. They have a kindergarten through fifth grade school have helped establish family climate and has helped greatly with classroom management.
Yeah, I'm just thank you for the statement. My vision, this goes way beyond just the model standards, folks. So let me get up on the platform here. I drink a little more coffee, but I think it's cold right now. But I never did morning meetings when I was teaching. And I love that idea because it brings us to the present, you know, that we're just in the moment in the classroom. But what I would love to do is to figure out ways for us to learn all about morning meetings from all the different classes and teachers and educators and schools around the country and world, and have something on our website that here are the 5 things that really work for morning meetings, you know, and have that be kind of the hub that people can come to. I know there are other places may already have that, but morning meetings at character.org's website would focus on that relationship between character and morning meetings, perhaps a little bit more intentionally. So that's my vision, and not just morning meetings, but what's the power of a touchstone for a school, right? I mean, we know that so many schools have touchstones, but do they work? How do they work? You know, what are some of those sort of best practices? So thank you for that example of morning meetings. And we have so much more to learn about what makes them so powerful.
Susan Gossett is at a middle school, and she said that her teachers connect character to literature in a middle school situation.
Oh, thank you. Yes. I will add, though, and I've shared this with my friends at the Kern Family Foundation as well. As a former high school teacher, I still think that we have so much more to go in terms of infusing these ideas, core values, and everything else, the 11 principles at the high school level. It's still, I won't say it's the black hole, but there's too much darkness. We need to really shed light on ways to integrate character in ways that meet the developing child, or in this case, teen, at the high school level. That's still a great leap for many of us.
And there were several shout outs for morning meetings and the positive impact that they have made with the stories.
I am going to say that we have a weekly newsletter, and I am going to feature it, not sure when, because we have like a calendar, but we're going to feature morning meetings in a future character.org newsletter. So thank you, everybody. You've just inspired me.
So
How do we get a newsletter, Arthur? How can folks get onto getting a newsletter?
If you go to character, I am the worst marketing person ever, Val. So thank you for. My brother would be really good at it, but just go to character.org website. Right at the top bar, you can sign up. It's a free newsletter. It's a weekly. We feature so many different opinions and ideas, strategies, including one that just came out yesterday on Earth Day as related to character development. So each week it's different, and you just go to our homepage and sign up for this free newsletter. And you can learn more about the model standards on the homepage as well. Oh, Lori, you're smiling. I like that. Thank you. Anything you want to add, Lori?
Hey, thank you for doing this, Arthur. And again, Val, Pam, and Kara, thank you so much for organizing and hosting this. I would just add that our website is, there's a plethora of information on the website. You can hear student voice. There's all kinds of great information. And I do encourage you to sign up for the newsletter. It really is informative. And I'll just let, if there's schools on here that are thinking about becoming schools of character, just want to let you know that our application will open on June 7th. So you can look for that as well. But lots of information on the website.
I would like to speak to everyone about what Lori just said about student voice. Right at the top slab of our homepage, is a feature we call In Their Own Voice. And educators across the country give me the names of a student. Usually they are high school students, but I'm working with 2 middle school students. And I ask these students by phone to talk about a particular character strength, core value, virtue that's important to them, and why. And the story, the why, is really the most important part. It's only 2 or 3 minutes long. It's a recording that the student makes just directly looking into the camera, and she or he just talks about why this particular core value means so much to them and how they learned the value of that core value, if you will. So if there's any middle school or high school folks out there, there was one college student also who participated. Please don't hesitate to reach out to me at arthur@character.org. I'd love to feature that student that you're thinking about. It's important for us to really give these students voice in terms of what guides their moral compass.
Well, wonderful. I know our time is almost up, but this has been just a wonderful way to spend a Friday morning with a little bit of coffee. So we just thank you so much, Arthur, for joining us. And just thank you, everyone from Georgia, from Alabama, from Florida, and other states that have joined this morning. And hopefully this has inspired you just as much as it has me. It's given a lot of great practical ideas, and I got to get to work on some things now in regards to the standards. So I'm very excited about these standards that have come out and ways that they can be used. So thank you all so much. I don't know, Pam or Val, do you have any closing comments?
I'd like to thank everybody for attending, taking time out of your busy day to listen in and to share your ideas. Please contact us. I think our last slide has some links to our email addresses. And contact us for helping us to understand what you'd like to see. What do you want to know more about when it comes to character, model standards? Some folks have asked about how do you do character and PBIS? You know, what are the issues that are on your mind? We want to hear from you. We want to address them. We want to open up these topics and get you started. Things that you can do the very next day are the things that our folks are asking for. What can I do tomorrow? So these model standards are lessons and ideas and concepts to help crosswalk. You know, what does it mean to have SEL and character and how they fit together? Let's keep this conversation going. And Pam, do you have anything you'd like to add?
I just want to say a super thank you shout out to everybody that decided to join in from Georgia today. I'm especially just so proud of our Promising Practice winner, Webb Bridge, and our national schools. I'm just so excited to see Rocky Branch here today, Liberty, and even Carmel. And I've just had personal experience with those schools and some of them helping lead them to be schools of character. So I'm just so super proud of everybody that attended. And I'm really excited to see our higher education people today. We've got university folks here from Brunel and Dalton State, and we've got ACE here. And I'm just so happy to see everybody at the higher education levels because it's really making a difference. What you do every day makes a difference. So thank you, everyone. Berry College is here today with the preschool program, and it does start. The foundation is at 5 years old. It really is. I know that when I worked with Liz Ray at Carmel, she said, please tell me when you're doing that service project with your 5-year-olds where you ask them to give something away for the first time, something that means so much to them, give away a stuffed toy to help another child they don't know. Please let me know. There's going to be emotional breakdowns. So it does. It starts at 5 years old. Thank you all so much for your time today and for being here. If I can help you with anything in Georgia, let me know. Be glad to help.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, so I think that concludes our coffee talk. Thank you, Arthur, for your time and your energy and sharing this wonderful creation of yours. And it's not just a creation because it's a collaboration. It was a co-creation with many organizations. And this is a very nice crosswalk. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Arthur. Thank you, Sanford Hope Institute. And thank you to my colleagues, Pam and Kara. And I think we're good.
Thank
So
you,
we'll
everyone.
say goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.